Currently, the United States government has been shut down for 29 days. The expectation is that we are far from over. Look at this. Says Senator Schumer sees U.S. shutdown stretching into November. He said that just yesterday. But why is he saying that? And why should the American people be panicking as a result of this statement? Well, let's look at this. It says Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer said on Tuesday the 28-day U.S. government shutdown could stretch into November when millions face soaring health insurance costs from expiring Affordable Care Act tax credits, raising pressure on lawmakers to resolve the impasse as enrollment begins. Yeah, enrollment is starting, but we are enrolling into something and we do not know what the cost is actually going to be. So I understand the Democratic side, but on the Republican side, many are saying let's open up the federal government, let's get it working again, because right now the federal government is paying like $400 million a day. Okay, $400 million a day for federal government employees that aren't working, that are sitting at home. So right now we are costing taxpayers this money every single day for nothing. Look at this. It says with hundreds of thousands of federal workers furloughed, others working without pay, and federal food assistance due to end in days, neither Schumer nor his Republican counterpart, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, has shown much inclination to end the standoff or mitigate its debilitating effects. We are going to feel this for many months. Okay? Some say that the American people could feel the pain from this shutdown for the next year. But right now, Chuck Schumer believes that what Democrats are doing is the best thing for the American people. I want to read you one last thing, and then I want to play a clip, because this clip is extremely important. It says the Senate rejected a stopgap funding bill for the 13th time on Tuesday as Democrats insisted Republicans extend expiring tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. It says without action, premiums will spike for millions of enrolling in 2026 coverage when the healthcare marketplace opens on Saturday. It says on November 1st, people in more than 30 states are going to be aghast when they see their bills, and they're going to cry out. And I believe there will be increased pressure on Republicans to negotiate with us. That's where Democrats are at. They're waiting until this open enrollment happens on November 1st. This is Saturday. This is in 3 days. If we see health care prices spike, and then we start to see more and more Americans put pressure on Republicans, that could work. Okay, that could work. But according to reports, prices are not going to go up as quickly and as high as many Democrats are saying. Now, this is also why one of the biggest unions for federal workers is now pressuring Democrats to open up the federal government. Okay, they wrote a letter the other day. Listen to this right here.
The American Federation of Government Employees, they represent some 800,000 federal government workers. And oftentimes they've been at odds recently with the Trump administration, particularly amid efforts to downsize federal government. So I thought it was really striking that in this letter, it seems that they're echoing what many of you and your colleagues have been saying, which is simply reopen the government and then tackle the big issues. But I'm curious about your thoughts on the letter.
One thing I just want to point out before we listen to Senator Ertz is right now many unions across the United States are telling their state representatives and trying to get meetings with senators to put a little more pressure on their colleagues. So let's open up the federal government, and then we can tackle the big issues like this healthcare possible crisis, which again, this is something that millions of people are using. If they are going to pay more, right, it's going to come out. Chuck Schumer says it's going to come out in just 3 days. Honestly, I don't know what it looks like yet, but we're going to find out very soon. Let's keep listening.
Absolutely, and thank you, Lydia and David. Yes, if you had told me 6 months ago that I would be on the same side as our largest federal government employees union, I would have laughed. But yes, today we are actually on the same side. We need to reopen government and reopen it now. Currently, we're sitting at a bill that will have to be paid at $7.6 billion. This will be for back pay for those federal workers who are deemed non-essential, who are not working right now. So they're not providing productivity to the federal government. And yet we spend $400 million every single workday to pay for them.
One thing I want to point out, like I just talked about, is we're paying $400 million a day, like she just said, per workday. Okay? $400 million. That's how much we're paying. But yet, we are not making money off these people. Okay? We are not being productive. We are paying these people to go home and sit there, which technically we're not even paying them yet. So essentially what we're doing is we're promising to pay, all these, hundreds of thousands of furloughed employees at a future date when the federal government does open. But in the meantime, these people are having to go out there and get second jobs, having to go out there and try to get loans. I talked to a friend of mine just the other day. He actually had to get a loan, and because he wasn't technically working and the bank knew it, he had to get a cosigner. So he went to his father-in-law to get him to co-sign for a personal loan so that he could pay some of his bills. That's where we're at right now. Again, if you think this government shutdown, this is as bad as it's going to get, experts believe it can get far worse after November 1st. Not before, after. Let's keep listening.
So, yes, let's reopen the federal government. Let's make sure that our air traffic controllers who will miss their paychecks tomorrow get paid. Let's make sure that our military gets paid. My daughter serving on active duty, I know she and her soldiers would love to see a paycheck. They are taking out loans right now to make ends meet, to pay their rent, to pay mortgage, to pay their bills. And this is truly unfair that we're requiring this of our federal government workers. So yeah, wow, I'm on the same side as this federal government union.
One thing I want to point out, and then we'll listen to a little bit more of this, is that we've been hearing a lot of talk that government employees are going to get paid. Okay, they will get paid. Don't worry about that. We are finding the money. But now the big question is, okay, we found the money to pay federal workers, okay, or we're going to find it. We've already found the money to pay military personnel, right? We still have some money there as well. So we have money to pay those. But yet what we don't have money for is SNAP benefits. That's another big deadline. Come November 1st, you will not be seeing SNAP benefits. You look on your account, you're going to see that your account has not been, you haven't seen any benefits added to it because there's no money. That's the reason why millions of people are struggling at this time. And again, it's only going to get worse. Let's keep listening, though.
Well, Senator, a couple of your colleagues, your Republican colleagues in the Senate, Josh Hawley and Rick Scott, have suggested blowing up the filibuster in order to make it a simple majority vote, which you have the votes for that. What is your feeling about that? Blowing up this mechanism that's preventing the government from opening?
I just want to point out and explain what the filibuster is for anybody that doesn't know. The filibuster means you have to have 60 votes in the Senate, okay? Right now, I believe there's 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats. So even if every single Republican voted for this, for the new government spending bill, it's not enough. They have to have 60 votes, which means they need 7 Democrats to jump on board. Last time, I believe it was 52 Republicans and 1 Democrat voted yes, and then there was 46 Democrats and 1 Republican that voted no. So right now, we're not there. We do not have the 60 votes, but now there are lawmakers that are saying, let's blow this up. Let's just ask for a simple majority, which means 51 votes, 51 yeses, and it goes through. Listen to what she has to say, because this is something that many lawmakers have been questioning for several years. Even back during the pandemic, there were a lot of talks of let's blow up the filibuster so we can pass bills that will actually help out the American people. But listen to this.
Yes, I love my colleagues, but you know what? I don't agree. If we would blow this up, we have to remember that Republicans are oftentimes the minority party as we look through our U.S. history. So if we blow up the filibuster and we see Democrats in charge again, think about socialized health care across the United States, D.C. statehood, Puerto Rico statehood, 13 justices on the Supreme Court. There are so many ways they can hurt our country if we as a Senate blow up the filibuster.
Okay. So that's where I want to leave you, because right now there's a lot of talk of let's change the rules to make it work for us. But if they do that now, the problem is it will be like that if Republicans are not in charge and Democrats then hold the presidency, the Senate, and they have the Speaker of the House. If that happens, again, what she just said, think about different statehoods, think about 13 justices, think about socialized health care, right? All these other things. That could just be the beginning. One of the other things that they're talking about is universal basic income. I talked about this the other day. That's another big one that they are considering, but they just don't have the votes. So we'll see what happens in the very near future. But as of today, the government is still shut down, and it doesn't look like it's going to reopen until possibly, at the earliest, next week, because Democrats believe they aren't going to jump in and save SNAP benefits and save federal workers and military personnel. What they're going to do is they want to wait until next week, till people start enrolling in this Obamacare. And once that happens, then and only then, we may see there's more pushback against Republicans. So we'll see what happens, but that is what we know as of today. So again, as soon as we get more information, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.